All right, if you could, please tell us how long you were teaching in the United States and what grades, and then how long you've been teaching internationally.
I taught in the United States for 15 years at grades 3 and 5 in a self-contained classroom, so I taught everything. And this is my second year at an international school with American curriculum.
Okay, and having taught social studies in America and now teaching it here, how have you had to alter your instruction, your curriculum, the way your delivery is, any of those things?
Um, in some ways, it's a little bit easier, particularly in social studies, because the kids are so much more well-traveled and they are experienced. Um, they have more experiences with different cultures and different people from different places, not just different communities within the United States. So they've actually been to different countries, and so there's a lot more prior knowledge that they have and that we can build upon. So in that way, it's a bit easier. The harder part is the language. Um, the language development is, and the cultural diversity that they have is different. So I have to consider that when I use a certain term that I'm used to in the States. They may not think of that term in the same way or understand it the way I understand it. So the cultural barriers and the language development sometimes can be a challenge.
Excellent. And say if you were to head back to the United States after this experience and teach social studies again, elementary social studies, what would you say were a number of valuable things you would take from this experience, or things that have maybe helped or enhanced your teaching from this experience?
Um, Delving deeper into the inquiry-based teaching has been really valuable, and I felt that in the States there wasn't enough of that. So that's been one great technique that I've been able to advance on. And um, the other piece is a more of a personal nature, but just my knowledge and my background now in different cultures, and really going deep into a culture, understanding the differences and what cultural differences really means, what that really means. I thought I knew before I moved out of the States, but I realize now that I have a completely different understanding of what cultural differences mean and how people's interactions with each other can vary because of that.
Excellent. And let's say that there's somebody who has been teaching elementary school in America for a number of years, and they're thinking about maybe trying the international school thing. What advice would you give them?
I would say go for it. I would say open your mind to places that you didn't consider at first. For myself, I had kind of a narrow picture of what I thought would be appropriate for myself and my family, and I opened that up a lot greater when it came time to actually choosing, and I am so pleased that I did. So it's definitely worth the time in your life.
Now, if I may ask, because I'm sure there's a number of people out there in your situation, the situation you were in, how was the transition from teaching in America to here, and moving here, really having a family, having a husband and kids? Was the process more difficult than what you expected, easier? Just tell us a little bit how that went.
Um, it, there are challenges with the family, and there are things that make it easier with the family. When you bring a family with you, you've got an immediate support system. So I've got my comfort zone of my husband and my kids. Um, the, the challenge is, of course, when you have children, you're not just worried about your own experiences. You're also making sure that your children are comfortable and that they're experiencing things in as positive as can be. And it's it's for me the value in bringing my children into a different culture and having them experience a completely different world for them, and seeing more of the world is so valuable. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Excellent. And say that there's somebody who has made the leap. They've thought about it and they've gone to the international school and just got off the plane, just settled in, they have about another 2-3 weeks before they start teaching, what advice would you give them, both for personally and both to help in their teaching that they're about to do?
I would say if you only had 2 weeks before you start teaching, spend your time really looking at the culture you're in. You know, enjoy where you're at, experience the culture that you're at, because the more you learn about the country and the location that you're at, the more you can offer to your teaching, and it will expand what you do. There are in international schools, there are challenges and there are advantages. I found that international schools are well supported, more so than public schools in the United States. They've got more people, they've got more supplies. Some disadvantages are sometimes we get in ruts and we like certain things that we use for teaching, and they may not be accessible in another country. So you need to be flexible. That's another piece, is just go with the flow.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for all your answers.